Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, for those of you who've been geeking out on this channel for a while, you know that we try to keep things apolitical. We try to keep it down the middle here at Washington Gun Law. And like we always say, we want to give you the stuff to think about, but we don't necessarily want to tell you how to think. However, unfortunately, the subject matter that we cover here means that politics sometimes is just inescapable. And when we do need to talk about politics, what I like to do is to take the logic of the gun-grabbing left or the liberal left in general and then apply it across the board to see, well, does that logic really make any sense anywhere else? And of course, the answer is always no. This is a classic example of a really serious and hard discussion that we're having as a country right now that I think we ought to probably expand into other areas. So today, let's spend a few very important minutes and talk about, yes, we do need to talk about Second Amendment reparations. Okay, so before we get going too far down the road here, the inspiration for this video came from a story that I read on thetruthaboutguns.com. I'm going to put their link down below. They not only do a fantastic job of covering issues related to your Second Amendment rights, they also have some great gear reviews, so I do encourage all of you to check them out. So, some of you may have heard about this, but the city of San Francisco now has a new proposal. Yes, their city council is actually thinking about paying out reparations to African Americans, not only starting today, but for the next 250 years. Now, for those of you who aren't historical buffs, you'll have to take my word for this. California became a state in 1850. We fired the first shots of the Civil War in 1861. I could find no historical data that suggests that California ever authorized the ownership of slaves, there was any legal slave trading, slave ownership, or slavery in the state of California. However, that is not stopping the city of San Francisco City Council, which of course is so riddled with guilt and needs the virtue signal, from proposing a $200 billion, that's right, with a B, billion-dollar reparations package. Now, San Francisco apparently has a population of about 820,000. I imagine it's shrinking by the day. Their African-American population, however, is a mere 46,000 individuals. What the city council is proposing, and this is not a joke, you can look it up for yourself, is that each eligible person, that is once they're screened and they're eligible for reparations, will receive an initial lump sum payment of $5 million. That's $5 million with an M. And then $97,000 a year for the rest of their life. That plan would continue for the next 250 years. I said that correctly, the next 250 years. Now, how serious is the city of San Francisco about this? Well, the city council has proposed $50 million in their budget to create a new office to start helping individuals determine their qualifications or eligibility for reparations. It's like California is creating a may issue reparation state. So that's the good segue for what I want to do today, because I want to take that logic, and the logic is this, is that slaves were deprived their constitutional rights under the color of state law. There is no debating that point, and there is a federal statute, 42 United States Code, section 1983. And in law school, we just call them the 1983 claims, okay? And that is when an individual has been deprived of their constitutional rights by actions of the state, they are entitled to sue the state government for damages. Now, despite that legal action would be available theoretically for descendants of people who were slaves, the San Francisco City Council believes that this problem is so systemic, goes back so far, that individual lawsuits simply will not suffice for the proper remedy. In fact, what we need to right the wrongs of the past is reparations. Okay, let's take that same logic and let's apply it to every citizen of New York City for the last 120 years. Why do I say that? Well, we know that recently the United States Supreme Court has ruled that New York's may issue concealed carry laws violates the 14th Amendment by preventing law-abiding citizens with ordinary self-defense needs from exercising their right to keep and bear arms in public. That's not my opinion. That is Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's opinion in the Bruin holding. So, When we go back and we take a look at historical data for New York City residents, we know that the Sullivan Act, which is the act that basically created New York's oppressive concealed carry laws, which created the May issue scheme, was first enacted into law in 1911. The Bruin opinion was decided in the summer of 2022, or 111 years after the enactment of the Sullivan Act. That means that every citizen of New York City since 1911 was deprived of their God-given, inalienable, constitutional right by a law passed by the state of New York. That is, they were deprived of their constitutional rights under the color of state law. Could New York citizens individually sue under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983? They could. However, using the same logic that we previously discussed, this problem is so far-reaching. It goes back so far. It is so systemic in nature. It has deprived so many countless individuals of their fundamental rights. That's something beyond individual litigation. It's what's demanded here. No, what's demanded here, what's needed here, the only proper remedy to right the wrongs of the past, well, of course, that would be reparations. I guess the question here is how much. I mean, the city of San Francisco believes that the great-great-great-grandchildren of somebody who may have possibly been enslaved on the other side of the country is entitled to a $5 million lump sum payment and then guaranteed personal income of $97,000 annually until the day they die. They also believe that an ongoing payment structure like that is necessary for the next 2.5 centuries. However, what we have in New York City is every single resident of that city since 1911 was directly, positively, and without a doubt affected by the unconstitutional Sullivan Act. So where I leave this for all of you, my viewers, and I love to hear from you, is 1, do you think reparations is appropriate? And number 2, if you do, what do we need to give every citizen in the city of New York? What do we need to give them to make them whole, to give them the proper remedy, and to right the wrongs of the past? Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything else that's related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights. You should know how to contact Washington Gun Law by now, but if you don't worry, all of that information is in the description box down below. In the meantime, I want you all to remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.